Hello, everybody. David McCall here. I know you can't recognize me. It's mask on, but you know what? I'm here. And I'm here in Belmont, as you can tell from the picture behind me. And my good buddy Tommy is also here, and he's off in Las Vegas of all places, but he really has some interesting stuff to tell you. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Tommy.
Well, hey, David. Thank you. If that's you?
That's me.
Yeah, I am here in Vegas right now, but you can't tell. But that's where I am, believe it or not. Hey, Junie's trying to log in here. Hopefully she'll join us. And, you know, I was looking through some old photos of myself, and I found a photo, and I found this website that actually makes masks out of old photos of yourself. And this is what I used to look like.
Yeah.
So all this stuff about life matters does matter, and it does make you look years younger and less worried, too.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about living life unmasked. We have a special guest, Junie Mean, who we're trying to get her on here. We're having some technical difficulties. But in the meantime, David, let's get this one started.
Yeah. So I guess one of the things that we know about our lives is that, well, we all wear masks from one time or another. And you know, the funny thing about masks is they keep us possible for us to get around in the world, and maybe even masks might even be necessary in certain circumstances. But you know, what we want to do today is we want to actually show up as who we really are. We want to be able to have people see us for who we really are. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is take off my mask. Now,
funny guy.
I don't know about you, Tommy, but I don't just have one mask. I have lots of masks. And so taking off one mask might seem like a good thing to do, and you know, it might seem like I'm moving in the right direction, but the truth is there might be layers. And that's part of the challenge that we have in our world, is taking our masks off and doing it one layer at a time. So that's what I'm going to do today, and hopefully people now can recognize me. But, oh, I see you've already taken off your mask, dude. I didn't get to see you do that process.
I couldn't breathe.
Oh, you couldn't breathe.
I was suffocating.
Suffocating from all that worry.
All that worry. Yeah, that was my mask in the back day. I used to be proud of my, you know, we wear masks and we take pride in them sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. But what we're going to talk about today is unmasking, and the first thing that came to my mind is like, why? Why do we want to unmask? I mean, our masks protect us to some degree. They're there for a reason. They're protecting ourselves from embarrassment, or protecting ourselves maybe from hurt, or maybe it's just an identity that we've created for ourselves along the way, and we don't know any different. I mean, I as you know, I used to be a giant worrier, and so I had this worry mask on, and it would wake me up at odd hours of the morning, and I would just complain about stuff all day long, about things I was worried about. But it was just a facade, and it was hiding my true self. It was hiding my authenticity. I was hiding behind it, and feeling like I was proud of myself. There she is. Can you hear us yet, Junie?
Hang on. I can see Junie. Just hang on, and I'm going to see if she can.
I can't hear them.
Hello. Still can't hear. Hi, you guys.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, I have. Anyway, so you were saying.
Oh, you probably muted me.
Possible for you to be interesting.
You're not muted.
Video.
I
can't hear them.
All right.
I'm just gonna have to eject.
Go through Chrome. See if you can boot it up through Chrome.
Can we put her on a phone?
I don't know what we can do, but you keep talking. I'm going to just pop over to Facebook here and see if I can send her a quick message and suggest.
Right, yeah, see if you can dial up a phone. Maybe she can hear. We can hear her that way.
All right.
She can hear us. All right. So now I get to dance by myself. So these masks, right? And we pick them up for different reasons, and different people wear different types of masks, and for different types of situations. right? Maybe at home in a place where we're comfortable, we really just are ourselves, and we're just open to whoever we're with. Maybe those situations aren't always safe, and we have to kind of shield up and mask up, even in intimate relationships. So today, just getting that next layer down of what are these masks, why do we have them, and we just go through this process of understanding that we do have them. And do they help us? Do they block us? Are they useful in some cases, and in some cases not? And David, chime in here when you're back with me, otherwise I'm going to keep moving.
Yeah,
And,
actually, I'm listening and I'm paying attention. And one of the things that I was resonating with as you were talking is this whole thing about not only do we protect ourselves, as you said, but we also hide parts of ourselves. Those parts that really we believe are maybe more vulnerable, more susceptible to hurt or pain or whatever. And in truth, I think what we really want, I think what most of us really want deep down inside is to be seen fully, completely, and totally, without reservation, without judgment, just for who we are. We just want to be seen and accepted and received for who we really are. We don't want to have to, I don't think we like putting on these masks, but I think that we do it out of habit more than anything else. And we do it because we think we have to in order to protect ourselves, in order to show up a certain way in society and all that kind of stuff. So it becomes pretty challenging.
It does, yeah. And the protecting ourselves part is something to look at, because, again, that happens, that develops over life. Junie, if you can hear us, say hello.
I can hear you.
All right.
Talk about, just letting things go, boy.
Well, you're here now, so welcome, Junie, and sorry about all the technical challenges. I'm glad you're able to join us, and hey, this is what Halloween is like, the trickster energy of the shadow. It does all kinds of weird stuff, and so here we are. And so I want to invite you, and as you've seen, we've taken off our masks already, so we've just...
Oh, I've got to do the mask thing. Okay, here's mine.
Oh, that's a good one. That looks...
Taking off the mask right away. This was quite the trip. I'm happy to be here, guys. Thank you. And I was like, come on, tech, work. So thank you for having me. What did I miss?
Nothing much. You've had these conversations with me before, so you know pretty much where we are. We were just talking about why we wear masks and, to protect ourselves and stuff. And at the same time that we're doing that, we are essentially hiding the best parts of ourselves, those parts that we think other people don't want to see. And that's really kind of where we're at right now, and we're trying to come up and help people to feel more comfortable taking off their masks.
Right. I think the first thing is to actually be aware that we wear masks, right? I mean, for years I didn't have any idea that I was hiding anything. I just thought I was me and going through my life being me. And then suddenly I found out that there were these layers and layers and layers on top of my true self. And just that awareness made me go, now what do I do? And so realizing that, to me, is the first step of this whole journey. Like, there's actually this thing or this experience that has made me put on this cover to my essence. And right before I got on this call, I'm thinking, man, do I want a big mask right now? Because everyone's seeing I'm tech challenged.
So you talked about putting on these covers and protecting yourself. Do you remember at all, as you're going through your process of unlayering, so to speak, and becoming more aware, did you also become aware of the energy that created the situation in which you felt the need to put those layers on in the first place? Do you remember those processes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big stuff. Really big stuff. I mean, it goes as far back as, well, childhood. What a surprise, right? The big thing that started my first major mask was when I was a teenager, and I was bullied and ridiculed on a regular basis, and being seen was risky.
Mm-hmm.
So here, as you see, I have a pretty big personality, and I've got a big light. That's who I am. And suddenly I was being told by the kids that I was too much or too bright, not okay being the way I was, and it was very risky being who I was. So I, at that point, on some unconscious level, said, okay, let me dim down the light, let me not be seen, and I put on a mask of hiding. The mask I put on was, I don't have a voice, I'm not a leader, I have nothing to say, and I went through many years with that mask on, terrified of being seen and terrified of speaking up for anything I believed in. So that was my first aha in the journey of stepping into my power.
So it sounds like, as Tommy was saying earlier, that you found a way to protect yourself on some level. Yeah. But I'm curious if you recognize the cost. What was the price that you paid in order to feel that sense of protection?
There was a cost, and I still find more and more through the years the heftiness of the cost. It was living a half life, or maybe less than that, not being really who I am. There was this part. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you. You're
okay, something just happened. Okay. The cost was not being me and living inauthentically, not being able to connect to people in the way I wanted to connect to, not being grounded in my truth, which then had me not really show up the way I wanted to in life and create the life that I wanted. In fact, I was an actress when I was younger, which is, it's so funny to me. Talk about putting masks on. I could put on roles. I could put on these characters and be fine. And yet, right before I'd go on stage, I had the worst stage fright that would sometimes have me in the bathroom. Sorry, guys, I won't be so specific, but I couldn't get off the ball. They had to hold the show. I was so terrified of getting on the stage. So there was some major cost, and some of the cost was people having to wait for me to get on the stage. But really just not being who I am. And there's only one Junie Moon, there's only one of you guys, and the biggest cost was not showing up in who I am and what I had to offer people in my life.
Right.
Junie, yeah. When you were talking earlier about that initial kind of being clouded over, or putting that initial mask on, an image was popping into my head. I'm like, what is that? What is that? What is that image? And it took me back to the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, that animation, claymation thing.
Yeah.
And when Dad puts that mud on Rudolph's nose, that's not very comfortable. He's trying to hide the true identity of that bright light, right?
Yeah.
And it was just coming to me. That's what we do. We try to hide that identity, and it happens in school, being bullied. It happens maybe for me, something very precious to me died when I was young, and I just shut down that love, that heart. I'm not getting hurt like that again. I globbed a big old cement block around that thing.
Yeah.
And then other people happens in their families too, because we come in bright, right? We come in like so aware and alert and bright and ready to be the Junie Moon and ready to be the David McLeods. And then other people see that and they're like, I either want some of that or I don't want you to have it because I don't have it.
Exactly.
And that happens too, and we get into very protective modes too. And it's important for people to understand that this happens really young, and you can't, that's part of the forgiveness and letting it go, is realizing that other people didn't know what they were doing, and it's okay to break out of those shells and to take off those masks and to show up, to be who you need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, for me, my experience was, I'm sure we all can relate to childhood experiences. And I know that in my case, and this took me quite a while to figure out, by the way, I only came to the awareness of this completely within the last, probably 7 or 8 years, that it's finally all come together. But I remember my mom telling me when I was about 3 years old, I know you better than you know yourself. And I translated that message into, that means I have to look to Mom to tell me who I am and to tell me what I want and need. Then I extended it out to my dad and to my family and to my sisters. Before I knew it, I was expecting everybody else to tell me who I was and to tell me what I wanted and needed. And of course, as you can imagine, because I wasn't relying on myself, my soul was getting stifled. And the only way my soul could get through to me was to start to get angry. And so I was just feeling more and more anger building up as this was coming on. And after many, many years of doing that, eventually the anger came out in a very negative way, and it caused some damage that woke me up. It woke me up in a big way, and that's when my work actually started about 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I realized, holy shit, I got to do this work.
Yeah.
And, you know, I didn't realize how much I had shut myself down because I was looking outward for answers rather than looking inward. And so this whole process over the last 20 years is to recognize that the only real truth for me comes from within. And I believe that's true for each and every one of us. The only way we're going to find our own truth is by going inside. And that means we have to trust that we've put on these masks, start to remove them so that we can start looking within in a more honest way. And let other people see it too. It's risky, but it's worth it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens is we have these experiences and these messages when we're really young, and on an unconscious level we make choices that it's not okay to rely on others, you know, or to be ourself. In your case, you had to rely on your parents for direction, and you made a really good choice when you were little, right? Because you were a kid, you know, these were your parents, and you didn't have the tools or the skills as an adult, you know, the skills that you have now, and that willingness and desire and knowing to go inside. You know, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, they don't know how to do that. And so that's the thing. We made really good choices to shut down or to hide or to not be certain ways because there was some really great risks. We didn't know how to do it, and we needed to rely on others. But then you're right, we get into being in these adult bodies and things stop working and we start shutting down. You might have had the anger. I had deep sadness, and I would eat. I would eat lots of food to manage my emotions that I didn't know how to deal with. And what I didn't realize was that deep sadness was me not being me. Mm-hmm. And that was my journey of, you know, reaching 200 pounds and feeling crummy and disconnected to my essence, but knowing something wasn't working. And about 20 years ago, that's when it started for me too. But it's a journey.
You said separated from your essence. And David said earlier, soul was stifled. We're talking about the same things here. We're talking about separating ourselves from our soul, from our essence, from our authenticity. And how that translated for me was that's my energy, right? That's my energy sensors. It's my energy system, my human energy system, and it was blocked. And what happened for me in that case was my energy system got blocked. I wasn't loving, right, because that got hurt so bad I blocked it up, and everything else, you know, locked up too. So my brain had to do all the thinking that normally my energy sensors would pick up on things, pick up on a dangerous situation, or pick up on people, or pick up on situations. I didn't have any pickup capability anymore. My brain went into overload because you know how much thinking it takes to process all that information that normally you could just feel? And that actually literally drove me nuts. My brain overloaded and stopped working properly some years back, and I had to spend some time recuperating from that. But that happens too, right? So it's not just, oh, I'm taking off this mask because I don't need it anymore. There's real stuff that happens that has an effect on our health and our well-being, on our stress, and our life.
Yeah, and think about all that energy that you had to use with all that thinking, all that energy that we use to. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, you're just. I want to make sure. Hand signals here. All the energy that is used to hold back our true essence, and it's exhausting, and we do get sick, and we aren't able to really manifest the lives that we want to live. And so by taking off the masks, and we talk about this, I'm a shadow worker, and it's all about seeing what part we want to embrace again in a safe way. We don't want to just take back these parts and just kind of wing it. It's doing it in a conscious way, in a healthy way, so that we can have access to more energy, and then this can slow down, and then we can come way more from here. You know, once we quiet this, I believe we're so much more connected to spirit, connected to truth, and able to really live our soul purpose.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking as you were saying that, I actually think kids are really good at going in and doing their work. I think part of the problem is we as adults tend to think we have all the answers, and that how on earth could a little child know anything, you know? I know that that's the way I was treated. And so when I had kids of my own, I did something very, very different. I kept asking them, tell me what you think, tell me what you feel. And they're very, very good at speaking their truth if you give them the opportunity. And I think that now my kids now are challenging me all the time, which sometimes makes my life a little painful, but you know how that goes. But it's really, they challenge me in a very, very good way. They bring back to me the offers and the challenges and the gifts that I have given them, and it helps me to grow even more. But my kids are so far ahead of me in the whole enlightenment realm now, they blow my mind. So I think that it is possible for us to create a beautiful and amazing world if we can all just get out of our own way.
Yeah.
Recognize that each and every single one of us is an amazing, sovereign, individual being of light and love, and just encourage that growth. Just because someone else is bright doesn't mean I have to be dim, you know?
Yeah.
And we can be bright together. That's the beauty of it, and that's what I'm hoping to keep teaching as I do my work.
Yep, I totally am right there with you, and I believe that truly. I mean, that's why I do the work I do, is to offer that knowing that we can all be bright, we can all live in that fullness of who we are, and there's space for each and every one of us. We all have our gifts. Let us all bring our gifts. However, there's all that old wiring, and just knowing, this is my opinion, and from the shadow work training I have, my opinion is just knowing that there's enough room for our brightness, just knowing that there's something I have to offer, and I have gifts, and I can do all the affirmations I want all over my house. If there's old wiring that says I'm not good enough, or if you show your true colors, people are going to judge you, hate you, turn away from you. If that old wiring hasn't been looked at, then there's major risk in saying, okay, let me show up in my brightness. So it's a yes and. It's like, yes, let's all be who we are, right? And let's go back into the old closet and pull some old stuff out and clean it up and embrace it in a way that is going to serve us, so that we can really stand strongly in who we are.
Yeah, I'm loving everything you're saying, Junie, because and David too, that I think some people I just had a great comment there that I lost, but it was exactly what you were saying, Junie, about we as children we're bright lights of love and energy, and then we get kind of crowded with the judgments and the ideas and the identities and the masks and all this stuff. I have to bring that back to myself, and I see that in everybody. Everybody is that bright light. Everybody is that ball of energy, no matter how dark they are, no matter how sad they look, no matter how depressed they are, no matter how miserable or even acting out. And that is our human nature. People say, oh, it's human nature to worry. It's human nature to this. I'm like, bullshit. Our human nature is that bright energy that we came here as. And we just get crowded. We get mucked on. We get mud put on our nose. We get, all this shit piled on us. And it's just a matter of becoming aware of that and then learning how to take out the garbage. We need to take out the garbage. And we need teachers.
Yeah,
we need teachers to help us.
Yeah, that's
we just need to take
out the garbage. That could be another total topic.
Write it down.
Well, so here we are. We're talking about unmasking. And I get that can be really scary for people. Especially when you're so used to wearing your mask. It's like the whole comfort zone concept that we talk about. When I get used to doing things a certain way, I know exactly what's going to happen in my comfort zone. I can expect things to be the way they are. If I step outside my comfort zone, well, I just don't know for sure what's going to happen. I can't predict with any certainty all of the events in my life. I have no control at all when I step outside my comfort zone, and I have an illusion of pretty good control inside the comfort zone.
Yep.
And so what I do is I create this idea that, wow, I'm safe here. And I get that part of being safe is wearing a mask. That is the comfort zone.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to encourage people to do is say, all right, I'm not asking you to take off all your masks all at once. I'm not even asking you to take off any masks. I'm asking you just to get aware of them.
Yep.
That's all. And then look at the masks and say, all right, what is that mask exactly? What is it protecting me from? What am I afraid of? And then decide, is this serving me or isn't it serving me?
Exactly.
In which I can shift it somehow, maybe take a small risk that isn't going to be so dangerous, try something a little bit different, see what it's like to go out into a small part of my world without a mask on, but not necessarily the entire world without the mask on. You see what I'm saying? So we can come up with a little scheme that will help people do that. That's what I'd like to do before we're done here.
Ah, yeah. Well, the first thing is what's not working in somebody's life. That's where I start. What is it that you want to have for yourself? Is it getting on Match.com? Is it asking for a raise? Like, what is it? And to then see what's stopping them, what's the mask they have on limiting them. Then I do what we know as a what's at risk process. What's at risk to keep the mask on? What's the cost if I don't do what I want to do? And what's the risk if I really take that chance? So obviously, going on Match.com may not be as risky as asking for a raise, but to ask yourself or the viewers out there, what might happen if you don't do what you want to do? Because if you feel that pain, then you realize that the safety you've created, there's a cost. And is that a cost you're willing to have? Then the next thing is, well, what might be one step taking the mask off, like dipping your toe in? You don't have to get completely exposed. What might be one step in that arena that you could take, loosening that mask a little bit? And remember, you can always put the mask on. That's the cool thing. You know it so well, and believe me, it'll come back on. It's a work in progress.
That's
but
right.
To start somewhere, to take a baby step, or even a few steps into something that is different for you, and knowing that you could always put the mask on. I mean, that's what I would recommend for someone to get crystal clear about what's stopping them, the cost, and then maybe trying something.
Yeah.
Very beautiful. And Junie, you said it wonderfully well. You said also too earlier about quieting this down, and that's part of what taking the masks off means, and to kind of help people encourage them through that fear point. You make so much better decisions. And life gets so much better, right, when we're coming from more of a heart kind of balanced heart-mind combo of making choices. And as you start to take those masks off, you're going to start to make decisions more that have some more heart integrated in it. And so as far as why do I want to do this? Why do I want to come out from the safety of these masks? Because you really start seeing things more clearly, you start thinking more clearly, you start making better decisions for your own life.
Right.
My thing is, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so we all have our masks, and they're very close to us. We can, as Junie said, we can put them on if we need them. But the thing is, don't put them on and forget about them. Don't believe for a moment that you are the mask, because that's not true. You are the person wearing the mask. You are the being putting that protection on. That is the thing to remember. And yeah, you can put it back on if you need to. Maybe see what it feels like as you make the shift back and forth. But as Junie said, don't forget, there's a cost to wearing this all the time.
Yeah, and what I was going to say is, if we're coming from fear, we're not going to live the life of love. It's, they clash. That's my belief, So if we're living from fear and we're hiding, we're not going to have a spacious, joyous life. And so then the question is, what kind of life do we want to live? And so to start hearing those voices in our head, to see what it is we're scared of, what is it that's really happening underneath, what are we protecting ourselves from? In my ebook that I just let out this week called How to Tame Your Inner Critic, it's about hearing those voices, like what is it saying to me? Why is it squashing me? And then what is it really keeping me from? How is it protecting me? And once we start to have that dialogue, then we can really start playing with all the masks, all the messages, and step more strongly into what it is we really want to create for ourselves, which is a blessing for us and certainly for the world.
So you say you have an ebook that's ready to go, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Can you just quickly tell us where people can go to find that ebook?
Yes, you can go to innercritictamer.com. I've been called the inner critic tamer. I help lower the volume on people's crazy voices that stop them. So yeah, innercritictamer.com is how to tame your inner critic. It's a great beginning to play with these voices and really turn them into an ally and step more into the beauty and our sole purpose in life.
Well, thank you so much, Junie, and thank you for joining us today. Our time is just about up, and I just want to say, Junie, I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. The fact that you had some glitches on your video is just a pure testament to your brilliant light.
I burned it all out.
So, Tommy, what do we got going next week?
Well, first, Junie, thank you so much. I love sharing this time and space with you, and we'll have you back for sure if you enjoyed your time here. And so we'll see your smiling face some more. So thank you from me and David and all of us.
Thank you.
Next week, quit your bitching. We're going to talk about complaining and how sometimes we think it's okay to complain and bitch a lot, but how it what it does for us and to us and against us. So quit your bitching and have a great Halloween, everybody.
All right.
Happy Halloween. Put your mask on by choice.
Yep. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.